The 2024 NFL Draft recently wrapped up, and now it's long overdue that we start scouting for the 2025 NFL Draft. The betting odds say that Shedeur Sanders is the favorite to go number 1 overall in that class, but James Pearce Jr. from Tennessee seems to be a dark horse for that honor. But is he really that good? Will he be the first overall pick at this time next year, or is he a classic case of somebody being hyped up a season too early? Today, we're going to be taking a look at Pearce and analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of his game before his final season in college. Let's get started with the positives. A very promising sign right away is how big of a step up he took in 2023 from a production standpoint. He had just 2 sacks in his first season, but he took a major leap last year all the way up to 10 sacks. That's even more impressive when you consider that he was playing against SEC linemen for most of the season, several of whom have been drafted or who are going to be drafted to the NFL in the near future. He still has another season to go, but if he can replicate or improve upon his production at all in the 2024 season, his production profile will be looking very nice. When I first turned on his actual tape, one thing really stuck out to me, which was his speed. If you haven't seen him play yet, he's one of the quickest edges that I've seen come out of college in years. College offensive linemen simply can't keep up with him. He's just in another dimension with his speed, and that was really clear on film. When you slow down and look at the start of each of his reps, it's clear why he wins so much. His get-off is so much faster than a typical lineman, because at the moment the ball is snapped, he already is exploding out of his stance and is working on beating the offensive lineman, all while his teammates next to him are still working on getting their hands out of the dirt. That's such a promising sign because that's one trait that translates to the NFL nearly flawlessly. His speed and overall quickness also makes him very effective at running stunts. Tennessee liked to change things up from time to time, and anytime they had him one gap or shift over, he would either beat his guy or open things up for his teammate to make a play. His presence and impact clearly has a strong influence on the opposing offense's game plan, and that can help to get his teammates opportunities for one-on-one reps or open shots at the quarterback. I also like that he's already flashed a good understanding of leverage and pad level. He isn't entirely consistent with that, but he still has another season to work and has already flashed a lot of good things in that area. He's definitely on the smaller side for an edge rusher, but he can overcome that by getting lower than the opposing lineman and getting under his pads to drive him back. Once he can do that more consistently, he's going to be that much more dangerous. So we know that he's great at all of that, but where exactly does he still need work? Why isn't he higher on the betting odds for the first overall pick, and could he go there next April? Well, to get answers to those questions, we're now going to need to dive into the negative side of his game to see what he needs to improve on before declaring for the 2025 draft. Easily the first thing you notice about him physically is his weight. He's officially listed at 242 pounds, and that's really light for a guy that projects to be a full-time edge rusher in the NFL. And for what it's worth, I think that he actually looks smaller than that on tape, and my guess is that his playing weight is somewhere around 237 pounds, which simply just isn't big enough at this point. He still has time to put on more weight, but it remains to be seen if he'll do that or not prior to the draft. His weight is an obvious problem in a lot of parts of his game. I mentioned earlier that his speed is absolutely elite, but that comes at the price of his power. He doesn't play with much strength at all, and he almost never outmuscles the opposing lineman. This is an especially big issue when he tries to make plays as a run defender. He simply just doesn't have the body mass, weight, or strength to push back an offensive lineman, which leads to him getting driven off the ball or getting pancaked entirely. That's a major issue if he's going to be a full-time player in the NFL, rather than just a pass rush specialist. These issues were especially exposed when he lined up against J.C. Latham this year. Obviously, Latham was really good and was the 7th overall pick in the 2024 draft for a reason, but it still was a really bad showing for Pearce. He got manhandled all game long, and if this is indicative of how he's going to play against more powerful linemen at the next level, then he's going to have a short career in the NFL. Another thing that I don't like is that he doesn't have a diverse bag of pass rush moves yet. Again, that's something that he can develop over time, but he really only knows how to win in a few different ways at this point. That makes him rather predictable, which makes him less effective as the game wears on. It's also an issue when his first move doesn't work the way that he hopes. If he tries something and that gets bottled up, he's basically just done for the rep. He doesn't know what to do beyond that, and he isn't strong enough to then try and beat the offensive lineman with just pure strength. That leads to more bad reps than you'd hope for on his tape. One other thing that bothers me is that he isn't great with his hands yet. He really relies on his speed alone to win him reps, and while he sometimes uses some simple hand fighting to help him beat the offensive lineman, he doesn't do it nearly enough. He's got to get better at winning with more than simply just his speed, because he'll never make it in the NFL as just a one-trick pony. Overall, the path to success is very real for James Pearce. He's insanely quick off the snap and routinely wins with speed, and that should translate to the NFL very nicely. However, there are some real issues that I have with his profile that make me think he might not go as high as some people say he will. Most of those issues stem from his strength, which is not good at all at this point, largely due to his slender build. He'll have a lot of issues in run support, especially if he doesn't improve upon this, which would drop him really far down a lot of big boards. If the draft was today, I would be giving him a day 2 grade at this point. I see the vast upside that he has because of his elite athleticism, but I'm really concerned that the gaps in his game are going to limit him to being a weak side pass rush specialist on clear passing downs. That's obviously a role that needs to be filled in the NFL, but a guy like that isn't somebody that you take in the top 10 of a draft. But I do want to remind everybody, with a scouting report coming this early, a lot is prone to change. He still has an entire another season to play, and he could improve dramatically, and this grade could also improve dramatically in a year's time. If he can gain some weight and play with more strength, he could absolutely be an elite prospect and maybe worthy of a top 5 pick. But if he doesn't and fails to show any improvement this year, he may be more of a mid-round dart throw. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with him, but either way, he's a super exciting player that I'm going to be watching very closely all season long. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new drop. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.